Welcome back everybody to another tips and tricks video. Today we're going to focus on climbing. Not too long ago my friend texted me, he was having some problems with climbing, asked me for some tips, because as he put it, he's just holding the thumbstick, watching Link go, and sipping a coffee. And I get it, I was there once upon a time too. So today's tips are going to start off as reminders, good for the beginners, and then I'm gradually going to make my way to some more complex things for the advanced players. But no matter what skill level you are, you should come away with something new from this video. So let's start out with those reminders. I'll try to make this quick. Don't forget your inventory. You've got food and you've got elixirs. With food, you could have things that restore stamina. Maybe they give you some nice weather condition perks. And with the elixirs, I found a really easy one to make is with 4 crickets and a basic monster part. And please use a basic monster part. Don't waste your time or don't waste your resources using anything more expensive. You don't need to. Just 4 crickets, which are pretty plentiful, found under rocks, found in long grass. 4 of those plus a horn, and boom, that restores a wheel of stamina. You've also got your clothing, but I'm not going to show that here. You can go find those pieces on your own, and you can enjoy the surprise when you get them. Now, for a pretty basic but very important tip, scout out the area. Scout your climb, plan your route. I know it sounds a little nerdy, you're scouting out your route in a video game, but seriously, you're looking for ledges and you're looking for inclines. The main purpose isn't necessarily to identify the shortest route, although that's also helpful. The inclines especially are really important, and I'll get back to that point later when I talk about my favorite climbing technique. And the ledges, obviously, those are going to allow you to pause during your climb. And the developers do include a lot of ledges in this game, knowing that some of these starting areas, you're not going to have a lot of stamina to be able to make that climb. Now, the reason why I say scout the area as well is you might overlook some materials that can give you a boost. Maybe you're in a forest, you can chop down some trees, you can turn those logs into a ladder, or you can manipulate them with rewind and get around that way. You might even look at the wall from another angle, and maybe you're going to notice an ascend spot that wasn't there before. I realize we can be a little impatient when we play, so maybe we're not going to scout the whole area. We might just quickly take a glance, get the short route, look for the ledges, and up we go. And that's fine. I've got some tips for when you're in a rush as well. One more obvious tip before we get to the fun stuff is if you're ever unsure, if it looks like you've got a daunting climb ahead, please conserve your stamina during the climb. I know when it doesn't pay off, even after you've done that, can be pretty frustrating, but I've had so many situations where saving my stamina until I got to the very end and I used it on that final jump made all the difference. Now for the fun stuff. These are the best way to save your time on a climb. We're going to be using updrafts and we're going to be using Zonai devices. For an updraft, you want to create a campfire and have a pine cone. You toss the pine cone in or you light them at the same time and up you go. You can see here on this background there's a couple of ledges and how far Link gets. He gets to the end of this first ledge. Let's compare this to the rocket. I tend to attach these to my shields every time I see them. I like having 1 or 2 in my inventory. So, rocket shield, you just hold your shield out, up you go. Link gets to the second ledge over here. And I thought, how about I compare a couple of other things like this in my inventory? I've got spring shields too. Again, just something that I like having in my inventory at all times. Spring shield, you can see, is not bad, but not worth wasting or not worth using over rocket shield. And then finally, if you're in a pinch, you want to be really creative, you're just curious, here's what a bomb shield does. Now, I do not recommend this because it probably will destroy your shield, but this is how far you get. Looks like it's about the same as the spring shield, so yeah, rocket shield, definitely the way to go. And if you can combine this with rewind, get a little boost with a platform, and then use your rocket, and off you go. All of that said, the most practical and probably the method that you'll use most often is the updraft or the pine cone. You're going to find so many pine cones during your adventures in Hyrule, so go nuts with them. Use them when you can. Now for my favorite tip, walking on ledges to regain stamina. So in Tears of the Kingdom, when you're doing your climb, that is the default state. It doesn't matter if the incline becomes any less, Link wants to stay in this climbing posture. However, there are a lot of degrees of incline, there are a lot of little pieces of the cliff face where you can actually press B to walk, and Link will walk, and while walking, he will regain his stamina. If you had not pressed B, Link would have never changed his posture. So earlier, when I said that you wanted to identify changes in incline, this is what I was alluding to. Part of planning your route is looking for these pieces. Even if it doesn't look like it's enough to stop and stand and regain your stamina that way, you can at least walk on the ledge and kind of cheat your way up the mountainside. So here's a couple of tips to do this effectively, because it is finicky, but I've been practicing it quite a bit now. First of all, the wider the ledge, the better. Not how deep it is. You don't necessarily need it to be a deep ledge, but if it is wide, you can tilt and walk to the side. Always aiming up just a little bit, so you are facing to go up the mountain, but still aim it as far to the side as you can, because that is just more time to spend walking. Link shouldn't slide down as long as the angle is permissible. The other tip is you want to get as far up on the ledge as possible before you press B. A couple reasons for this. One is that Link just has a tendency to slide when you press B, and that can send you really far back. That can even send you off the cliff. The other reason, and I don't know why, but Link just tends to grip the mountain a little bit better when you do it when the incline is changing. I'm going to keep on exploring why that might be the case. I just know that it's been more effective for me. You're going to want to try this out yourself. It's going to take a little bit of practice, some getting used to, and you're going to need to identify what ledges work. That's something you're going to learn. If you have any questions about it, please go ahead, ask me in the comments, and I'll try to clarify and help you as much as I can. So that's it for the tips. I guess to recap some of the important ones, it's nice to have a couple of elixirs on hand. Keep those in your inventory. They're good for combat as well. Definitely scout out your climb, scout the area. You might find some resources, but most importantly, you're looking for those ledges. And even if you see those ledges, why not start your climb out with an updraft? Throw the pine cone in, they're so plentiful, you may as well get that boost to save some time. And that's one of the reasons why I like having fire weapons on hand at all times as well, just because you can instantly start the campfire without throwing a fire fruit. If anyone has other recommendations, please leave them in the comments so everyone can read them. If you want to get really silly and have a lot of fun with things, of course you can try making catapults or using the other Zonai devices. If you've played through a fair number of shrines, then you know exactly what I'm talking about and some other techniques that you can gain some height. I didn't want to reveal them here just in case the beginners haven't seen them for themselves yet. Ultimately, it's up to you to determine what's worthwhile. Do you want to save resources? Do you want to save time? The beauty of this game is that even a small problem like how to climb a cliff can morph into a complex science experiment, and you can just spend 15, 30 minutes finding different ways to do it and having fun the whole time. So that's everything for now. Stay tuned for the next video. I'll leave in the comments what's coming next. Thank you everybody for watching, and again, I hope this helped you.